after his visits to the capital cities of Kiev and Moscow and negotiations with Volodymyr Zelensky and Vladimir Putin, respectively, Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán is heading to China. And this trip of his, and his recent actions, of course, clearly indicate the Hungarian government's head's desire and intentions to create the illusion of shuttle diplomacy in an attempt to foster a sense of active involvement to resolve the issue of ending the war between Russia and Ukraine. Viktor Orbán did not achieve any notably impressive or significant results during his recent trips to the capitals of Ukraine and Russia. Both Volodymyr Zelensky and Vladimir Putin, both leaders, were initially skeptical of his proposed idea of a ceasefire. Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, continued to demand that, even to begin any negotiations with Ukraine, the president of that country, Volodymyr Zelensky, must order his troops to leave the territories of the regions annexed by the Russian Federation in 2014 and 2022. It is clearly evident that this is undoubtedly, once again, not a suggestion for a truce along the contact line between the troops of the two countries, but indeed a classic call for surrender. Certainly, it is a clear indication. But it is quite curious and noteworthy that Orbán's proposal, which has garnered attention, coincides with the initiative of Chinese President Xi Jinping, who is known for his strategic policies. It is no coincidence that the first question Viktor Orbán, indeed according to his own words, actually asked Vladimir Putin was about how the Russian president views the Chinese initiative, in fact. And now, with the head of the Hungarian government, Viktor Orbán, deciding to visit China as well, it becomes clear why Viktor Orbán is undertaking such extraordinary diplomatic efforts, with little hope of success. Despite the numerous challenges and obstacles he faces, success is likely to await Viktor Orbán not in Kiev and not in Moscow. Success is likely to await Viktor Orbán in Beijing. The Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orbán, wants to demonstrate to the President of China, Xi Jinping, how ready he is to implement the proposals outlined in the comprehensive and detailed Chinese peace initiative. Perhaps the first talks about Orbán's efforts actually emerged when Xi Jinping himself visited Budapest during his European tour. In fact, these discussions came to light. But real steps to demonstrate the importance of the Chinese peace initiative could have been taken precisely after Hungary assumed the presidency of the European Union by providing detailed plans and timelines, and ensuring active participation from all member states. And when Viktor Orbán indeed has the opportunity to visit capitals not only as the Prime Minister of Hungary, but also as the leader of a country that holds the presidency of the European Union. Of course, European officials may remind Viktor Orbán that he has no mandate from the European Union. Of course, the White House may indeed argue that the Hungarian Prime Minister is more likely harming the situation than helping to resolve the conflict, but Viktor Orbán absolutely does not care about that at all. It is important for him to show, above all, his loyalty to China. Because the stability of Viktor Orbán's government and his electoral chances depend on how economic cooperation between Beijing and Budapest develops. This is not a job for Moscow. This is not a job for Kiev. This is not even a job for Beijing in any way whatsoever at all, really, truly. This is indeed a job for oneself. And perhaps it is worth emphasizing the cynicism of the situation we find ourselves in due to the diplomatic efforts of the head of the Hungarian government. And, of course, the group in the European Parliament that Viktor Orbán unexpectedly formed for many. This group can also focus on the opportunities, in particular, of one of its members for special and unique relations with Beijing and potential benefits. Because the group includes parties that are vying for power in their respective countries or are already an integral part of their country's governments, or parties without whose crucial support the ruling coalitions will not be able to manage tomorrow. And if we remember that all these are right-wing populist parties, then all these politicians will have to find money from somewhere to carry out their intentions. And it is clearly and evidently obvious that the European Union is not the entity that will agree with their economic initiatives, which are very often far from reality, in fact. And then the significant and complex mechanism of Chinese investments comes into play. But in order to receive substantial and considerable investments and money from China, even if this is an imaginary plan, one needs to have not imaginary, but real and good political relations with the president of China. And with his trip to the Chinese capital city of Beijing, after staying for a while in Moscow and Kiev, Viktor Orbán, the Hungarian prime minister, is clearly showing his colleagues in the new faction what the scheme for establishing these good political relations should look like. One simply needs to claim special attention to various different aspects and facets of Chinese foreign policy initiatives, even if these initiatives are practically impossible to implement. And naturally, another person who might be closely monitoring Viktor Orbán's initiatives and policies and strategies is someone who could be hoping to find some model or framework and potential solutions for a ceasefire between the ongoing conflict of Russia and Ukraine. If not today, then perhaps in a few months or even later. This is indeed Donald Trump, who absolutely promises to end the war between Russia and Ukraine even before his inauguration as the new president of the United States of America. Well, that is, if he wins the presidential election in that country. And Donald Trump, with whom Viktor Orbán also met quite recently in the past few weeks, and had a detailed discussion about various political strategies and international policies, might perceive his political friends' trips as a kind of reconnaissance mission. How will Moscow, Kiev, and Beijing actually react to the set of proposals that the Hungarian prime minister might present, including potential reactions from their respective governments? And what if Xi Jinping fails, considering the implications for international relations? Then maybe Donald Trump will indeed succeed, because, as we understand perfectly well, the President of the United States has far more tools to influence the situation in this particular case than the President of the People's Republic of China. So, it can be said that Viktor Orbán indeed definitely knows what he is certainly doing when he tours the capitals. Thank you, friends. Stay on this channel, subscribe to it, follow my social media, and support this channel. Good luck!